Alright, just had to pay a little respect to the motherland. Alright, so we have a subscriber out in northern PA. I should not have said that, given out the coordinates. So we got a property here that a fellow Spetsnaz buddy wants some information on. So we're gonna look over the area and give him some pointers on what we think's going on here. Here we go. All right, comrade, you picked out a very good spot. Putin would approve. So here's what I'm seeing. This is the parking lot down here. This is where you're saying all them cedars are. So I'm going to zoom in on this spot right here. So this is where you're saying the cedars are. I'm assuming you parked here. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. And usually you can see the runs. But no, I wouldn't doubt that shit's holding up in here because it's winter time, providing cover, all the food right here. But what I did notice, and this is what I was talking about with the panhandle, I noticed this went down. What's pretty crazy is, something wanted to fucking hide out back in here. I mean, it's really not that out of the question for him to want to, escape. I mean, and then even with the amount of, these look like crop fields, anywhere where there's like brown, it's probably tilled crops. The green, that could already be alfalfa or soybeans. Not everything's hay, but I mean, dude, just this patch of timber. I don't know whose property this is, but I mean, just that right there with the food. But back to this. So here's your parking lot. Here's a food source I'm seeing on the south end, and then this little panhandle. I'm noticing. I don't know what these are. Even if it's CRP, CRP offers a bunch of browse, and I'm not gonna lie. This is very interesting in terms of how it's set up. I mean, it's just, and it wouldn't be that unpractical for something to be bedding right here, come up and just, let me zoom out from here to here. Let's see, that would be how far? So from here, if you were to go here and get right up into there, that total distance is only 1.16 miles. From all the way back here to the field is 1.6 miles. Now, I'm going to zoom out on the larger portion of the property, the mountain. This line right here goes from the road all the way up to the top of the mountain. It is saying it's a 1.35 mile hike. The entire area that I closed off is 18.6 miles squared. I don't know how many acres that is. A fuck ton. All right, so I'm going to show you something here. We can remove the trees. We've removed all the trees. And now it shows what's under the ground. It just kind of shows the elevation. So here's the south end of that mountain that you were talking about. And if you're saying there's granite fields, would make sense. That all that rough shit looks like granite. So I would be anticipating movements like this, going around the mountain, around all this. Go up. Whoops, hold on. Damn it, motherfucker. Coming up. Actually, no, let's go to here. So here's the fields. Here's the mountain. So let's just say that's where it's feeding. They're feeding. So you see the mountain, the elevation. I'm going to do this to help you see. I'm going to add a yellow polygon where there's food, because that's usually what I do. The yellow symbolizes food. So now we can put on the shaded relief. It shows us where the food is. And they're probably coming from up here. So let's see. The distance from the top of that mountain to the food, 1.7 miles. Or 1.17. And let's see. Seeing how this is a mountain, I'm going to add... Let's add some contours. All right, so here's the contours. Hold on. Come on, motherfucker. All right, well, anyway. This is really steep. I can't imagine. Maybe they are. You said there's runs, but I can't imagine they'd be coming down. I mean, just because there's water here, everything's going to be trying to go to this food. And if there's, east winds, or northwest, this is all set up for northwest wind. At the bottom of this would be a north wind. Over here, east wind. Up here could cover the south wind. So they don't have to leave that. And it doesn't look like there's any other elevation anywhere in the fucking area except that, which is cool. They do like height. So when I zoom in on the big tract of woods, I'm noticing, looks like food plots. You said they're hay fields, but in the hay fields are going to be hay, clover, and all this shit that deer like to eat. So I'm going to put the shaded relief back on. Actually, let me do this. I'm going to highlight this area of where all the food is, assuming there's food down in here. Let's put this yellow spot, just mark some fields. Just give us a visual idea. So I'm going to put the shaded relief back on, and this is showing that, okay, the food's down here. Here's possible bedding up on the elevation. And it actually looks like there's some, not gorges, but some steep rock faces there. Perfect. Natural terrain funnels. So if anything's coming down off of this, you're going to go right around it. Now again, you have to get up in there and do your homework. I can't just send you out into the middle of a fucking mountain and expect you to get on top of a deer. But what I'm noticing to the north, all the way up here, is all ag. Okay, so here's all the food. So I'm going to highlight the food, assuming it's on private. Let's call this all food. So we know at night they're going to want to get to the yellow. That's where all the goodies are. Big, yummy agriculture. Yum, 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 yum. All right, hold on, let me just add a little more. Add some yellow over here just to designate where the food is. This is all ag down in here. This is actually what I'd be focusing on. I'd be targeting this. Even if that's all private, anything up in here is going to be going there for the food, there for the food, there for the food. So this is very important. The yellow. That's the food. Tells us the direction they're going to be wanting to go. So I'm going to put the elevation shit back up, and I'm going to highlight the elevation. All that flatland shit, the bucks aren't fucking with that. They want to get up, they want to see down. Kind of like the Nazis, on Omaha Beach. They weren't down on the fucking seafloor. They were up on the bluffs shooting down the dummies that came onto the beach. So I'm going to measure how far from the top of the mountain to the yellow. That is only 0.95, so not even a mile. From the top of this mountain to the food is that's only a mile. So if there's a big deer in here that they're getting on trail cam, you're seeing the big fucking deer in the summer in the fields. This is a good spot to glass. See where the deer are living in the summer, because once the fall comes, they're going to be moving up in here. Not all of them. Some of them are going to stay at home, and what I'd really like, I like to focus on power lines, just because they offer the hard, and water too. That's important too. I see water. But these hard edges are just really good. Even this right here, I see a cut through the... What's weird, I see a lot of houses in here. Huh. Actually, all the houses are at the bottom of the mountain. What is that? Oh, there's a field. I don't know if those are private fields, or I don't know if the state game lands put these here, but I'm going to highlight this. just to symbolize that there might be food, alfalfa, clover, something planted. So it shows us where the food is on the map. And seeing how that's not a destination food plot, it's a kill plot, a micro plot, out in, or back in cover. Preferred food source. They don't want to travel too far. But seeing the proximity of those little food plots in the woods to the proximity of elevation. You can see that there's elevation here. It's the top of the mountain going down. And seeing how this looks rough until you get in there and put boots on the ground, you don't know if that's accessible. So something might just come right up around all the rocks, following natural terrain funnels. So let's say this is inaccessible, all this heavy shit. I wouldn't be surprised. That might be a fucking pyramid or monatomic gold. I'd go look into that. I'd go look into all these little dots. But it's skirt right around the elevation, ease of access. No, so what I'd recommend next time you go in, seeing how you know that there's food to the northeast, though there's going to be a ton of sign getting laid down as these deer are coming into these fields. So you'll see a bunch of sign in here, but what you really want to find is the rubs and the scrapes that are back. Ow. You want to find the rubs and the scrapes that are back in the bedding, because there's rubs and scrapes out at the food, but those are all nighttime. Completely irrelevant. Those deer aren't getting there until after dark. You know that. Them coming off of 202. But when you get back in these big woods and you start finding rubs and scrapes, most of the time it's going to be bedding scrapes and bedding rubs. The only way you'll be able to differentiate is if it's wide open timber and it's an oak ridge. That'll be a food source rub. But any scrapes that are around thick cover, rubs, scrapes, thick cover, those are bedding. That's bedding sign. That is more important than any of the nighttime sign. Fuck the nighttime sign. I'd actually recommend throwing all the nighttime sign into the garbage, unless you own private land. Those deer aren't going down into those private fields from public until after dark. So any of the sign that's being made at nighttime, completely irrelevant. Get back in this thick shit. Find bedding scrapes and rubs that are indicative of a buck is marking out his bed and not marking out trees around a food source. So this seems very interesting up in here. It seems a lot's going on up in that mountain. But something that I'd really want to check out. This could be a sleeper spot. Nobody would think that something would bed in here. But dude, look how close that's a. This is all sleeper spot. If you were to scout this ridge line that's headed down to all the food, I guarantee this is all tore up. Don't get too hung up on the sign that is around food. What I have learned is that sign around food is not being made during the day. It's not being made during shooting hours. Throw all that shit to the garbage. It's nice to know where they're heading to feed, but fuck the rubs, fuck the scrapes. Backtrack it a mile, because that's where the deer are coming. The deer you're looking for is coming from. He's coming from a mile, at least a mile away. But as I'm looking at this, area, if you zoom out a little bit, I mean, there's a big tract of land here, and a big tract of land here. So I mean, these deer can move around, and even where there's people, this is all. I mean, dude, they could be hiding in the woods, in between all these houses. I mean, let's zoom in on these farms. Yo, if you want to get a private farm, I mean, dude, this farm right here is where I'd be knocking on a door. All this food. Look at that little, nice little isolated woodlot. Look at these funnels. Here's a funnel. See how the woods tightens down? Dude, look at that. Wow. Spike, these cedars is where you need to get. Unfortunately, that's all on private. But that's fine. Damn. Damn, that gets me excited. That's sexy. Let's go to New York. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's never sink. Here we go. All right, this is what I'm talking about. Operation Bering Strait. Here's the cove. Well, here's the other cove. There it is. There's Aden Road. This is Aden Road. The red dots, that's Aden Road. I'll zoom in. There's our cove. That's the boat launch. If we were to take a boat from here at 5 a.m. and go all the way to the northern... Look, dude, nobody's going back in here. Dude, come on now. All the way back in here. Come on now. Now this yellow line is the power line. This yellow, or this red dot right here, that's Shields. We take a boat up into here. Let me show you what the fuck's back here. Look at that. Look at that. Look at all that fucking topography, dude. I'll tell you, that mountain in PA that you were walking, not like that. That's something else. Look at that. But here's the thing. You could park on Shields. This yellow line is that's the power line. So you could park right here at Shields, and you could walk all the way down to the reservoir. Have a boat right here. Right at the bottom, have your boat. Skadoodle across. I mean, dude, I can't even imagine what's living back in here. I've actually marked out a bunch of stuff. This spot right here, this is big farm, big farm, big farm. This is all only fields. Field, 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 field. The rest is all woods. But look at this. Now, I know you can see there's like maples, but there's something very thick about this. I don't know if this was forested and then this is all young growth, but dude, that's fucking thick. And when I put on the shaded relief, it shows that this is on a hill. But dude, I mean, this bench right here on the edge of, oh God, it's properties like that that keep me up at night. And just so, let me show you, if you remember the Demera guy that shot those 200-inch deer a mile from our cabin. So here's our property. It's the big field. There's our little field. That's the runs they use to get down to the dam. That's the dam. And this is Demera's property right here. So here's our house. That's Demera's property. 200-inch deer. He's dead now, and we can't ask him, but here's his property. There's nothing there. He has an apple orchard. All these fields across the street. Looks like a swamp. Oh, did he put a food plot? Yeah, there's a food plot back in there. Now, I don't know if that's his. I know there's an archery guy. One of these houses up here has an archery shop. But that's Demera's property. And ironically, Steve next door, his son, the state trooper, that's the state trooper's house. That's Steve's son. And just to the north of it is Demera's property. So that's Steve's son, the state trooper. And that red dot is Demera. And I always wanted to know, like, what was on his property. And there's really nothing there. I mean, there's a big swamp along the road. And there's always some nice deer out in here. I used to glass that, but I would not have thought that that was a 200-inch property unless he was killing them on public and just bringing them back to his property. But there was no sign. Oh, I don't know. That's going to be $350. You can Venmo that or PayPal. I do take PayPal.